welcome to the first of 10 of these video diaries summing up what happened on the stage. Well, today was stage 1, and I just want to give a brief introduction of what happened leading up to it. On the Thursday, I arrived in Denmark, and on the Friday, I met the sponsor of Powerade, who gave me the stuff they're supplying this trip with. I also visited the hospital where I'm starting the trip, Hospital, where I managed to meet 2 people, a receptionist and a nurse who helped treat me, and was there in 2004. I visited my old ward, walked through it, and so I spent most of 2004, and also came very close to death. It wasn't that bad. I was expecting it to be worse than it really was. Of course, there was a glimpse of not cold emotion, but a bit of emotion when I walked through that, but nothing major. However, I did encounter a situation which was a bit more emotionally provocative. It was when I just arrived. I sat down in one of the visitor chairs outside the ward in the chair, and the intensive care unit opened their doors, and I can't say he was more than 14 years old. A boy was wheeled out by a porter and followed by a doctor, and his mum shortly after sat next to me on the phone with his dad, explaining the situation and how he was very ill and that he was so drugged up that he couldn't talk or be talked to by his mum. So it was quite horrific to witness, and she was quite strong in the beginning, and then she just collapsed emotionally because she said that they thought he probably couldn't make it. And really, I didn't feel, I of course felt empathy for her, but I didn't really associate it with myself before I got home and told my mum, and she was, I have to admit that I did cry for quite a bit, because it's the worst case scenario that could have happened for me in 2004. I was in a similar position, but I did make it, which is why I'm doing this crazy trip, and he's one of the people I'm doing this for, to show that just because you have hydrocephalus, you can do outrageously crazy physical things like cycling through Europe. So I just wanted to share that brief story with you. Anyway, stage 1 is complete, which is why I'm sitting here in this quite expensive hotel, and it is probably this hotel is probably the reason why I'm going to be spending the rest of the time in a tent, because we couldn't find any hotel, so we just had to take the first one. Best one. But stage 1 was 180 kilometers. It was done over 2 days, because on the first day, after the first 40 kilometers from Hospital, where my best friend met me 6 o'clock in the morning, no, 7 o'clock, even though he started school at 2. So he got up really early for me, which I really appreciated, but my mum collapsed after we got to Køge, because she rushed down here so quickly before the day before, so she was completely exhausted and threw up immediately after we got to Køge, 40 kilometers outside Copenhagen. But the second stage, second part of the stage was completed today, 140 kilometers, which was quite hard because it was quite windy and quite hilly as well, which completely eliminates all this this myth that Denmark is flat. It is not flat, I can tell you. There's so many hills. They weren't steep, but they were long and they were high. I was so baffled how many hills there were, so that was quite a shock for me. But I had quite a good pace, but the legs were quite cold and a bit heavy, but I'll get used to that a bit more. Yeah, from stage to stage I'll get more equipped, if you can say so. But yeah, that was just what I wanted to say, that stage 1 went right, and tomorrow is stage 2 to Bremen, which is around 211 kilometers long. Thank you and good